Welcome to TwinCities.com and another edition of Tark Talk with Hall of Fame quarterback Mr. Fran Tarkenton. And Fran, I got to ask you, we're coming down to the end of the season. It's the playoff push for many teams. You've been there, done that, bought the T-shirt. Give me your take on playing outside in Green Bay or inside for the Saints.
Well,
does it make a difference?
Yes, it makes a difference, and it's fun. Quite frankly, I'm a Georgia boy, played my career in Minnesota, and we played outside in the 70s. We're a dominant team. We played in 4 of the first 11 Super Bowls. We won our division. When I was there, my last 7 years, won 6 straight divisions, and everybody said, well, you guys were lucky. You got a big advantage with the outside stadium, and it was kind of funny. We practiced on the same fields. They put the tarp on old Metropolitan Stadium, and then we would practice on the sidelines, and the fields were all frozen in on the sidelines, and Bud Grant was one that he's the greatest character in the history of the world and the greatest coach in the history of the world and my mentor, but he was so funny with the cold weather because he really thought he had the cold weather fixed. He didn't want heaters on the sideline. He didn't want hand warmers. He tells the story at the beginning of the cold season each year about the Indians and the Eskimos up in Alaska and how they worked on the pipelines and, they worked it into their heads that they weren't cold, and so they never got cold and didn't need any artificial heating and artificial things. And he said, you guys on the sideline, you don't need heaters. You don't need to have jackets and warmers and muffins and all this stuff. And you just go out there and you can do it with your brain and you won't get cold. We got cold, bud. and I'm not sure it really was a great advantage for us because, we beat the Cowboys in the championship game in Dallas and went to the Super Bowl. We lost to them in the Hail Mary game in the Dome Stadium. So I remember when I was off in New York playing there, and the Vikings were playing playoff games against the 49ers, and they lost the playoff game outside against the 49ers. I really don't think it was that much of an advantage for it, but I love to play outside. Our fans would go tailgate, and you're up there in the stands, they pack it up, and they were all covered up, but it was kind of the culture of Minnesota. And I hope when you build that new stadium, and I want it to get built, have an open roof. The culture of Minnesota, we're hardy people. It's what separates that great part of the country from the rest of the country. And we ought to have outdoor football. We ought to have outdoor football. But now let's talk about how it affects going forward, because we have a lot of dome stadiums now. And so here's Green Bay. Is this an advantage for Green Bay that would probably have the home field advantage in playing outside? I'm going to tell you it's not. Why? Because they don't run the ball and they don't play good defense.
Right.
They pass the ball. He hits 12 different receivers. Aaron Rodgers is great. His receivers are great. They need dry field. They don't need a frozen field. They need warm weather. They need a dome. Last year, how'd they win? They went into Atlanta. And Atlanta, which had lost 3 games, they played in the dome and then lit it up, didn't they?
They did.
40-some points and so forth and so forth when they had to play the championship game outside against the Bears.
Barely
won, and Cutler leaves in the second quarter, doesn't even play the second half. They're playing the same guy, Haney, who can't win anything, and they barely win by, 3 points, 4 points, 2 points? Yeah. Could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So for Green Bay, home field advantage is not an advantage. Green Bay would like to play in the domes. Now, on the other hand, New Orleans, it's a great advantage for New Orleans. Home field advantage in the dome is great for them because they pass, they don't play great defense. But if you have home field advantage in the dome, the sound, the noise is loud. And that is a big thing because now the opponent's got to use sign language. Nobody can hear the quarterback, cannot hear the calls on defense. Big advantage in the playoffs to be home field, home, and a dome. And so that's what we got to look for. A lot of factors, right? You don't know who's going to be. This team's up, this team's down. The unexpected will happen. Now, I'll just tell you that. Last year, Green Bay was a 6th-ranked team and going into the playoffs, and they blow through it, and they win the Super Bowl. Who's that going to be this year? I don't know, but it's going to be fun watching both AFC, NFC. Weather will be a factor outside or inside. So enjoy it.
Well, it'll be fun to see what happens. We got 1 more week to go, folks. And then, of course, the most fun time of the year, the NFL playoff season. But we appreciate you joining us once again right here at TwinCities.com for another edition of Tark Talk.